Hey, what's up everybody? In this video tutorial, we're going to be creating the ink cartridge subassembly. All right. So you're going to see it's going to be the same thing for all four of the different types of ink cartridges that we have. We're going to be doing the red one in this video tutorial. So the first thing I'm going to do is in my new design, I'm going to do a save and making sure I'm looking in the folder where everything is at. I'm going to save this as red ink cartridge subassembly. All right, so that has been titled. So now we're going to start bringing everything in that we're going to need. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to be finding my red color selector. I'm going to be dragging that in. Okay, and once that comes in, now I can go ahead and reorient this by using our dials. I'm going to just set that flat at 90 degrees. And then finally, coming out here to our point, we're going to drag that off the original origin. And I'm going to say OK. All right, so right now we can see we have some work planes that are coming in with this. I feel like those are going to be getting in the way. So for right now, I'm going to be coming down to my display settings and coming out here into object visibility. I'm just going to come here to all work features and I'm going to shut everything down. Okay, we just have to remember that we did that because there's going to be some things later on that might not be showing up. So you can know to toggle that back on in case you need to see some things. All right, so we have a red color selector. We're also going to be coming out here finding our plastic barrel. All right, the plastic barrel we're talking about is going to be for the ink pen portion of this. So once again, we can use our dial, get this into the correct orientation, grabbing the dot, pulling this out, and we're going to say OK. All right, so if we come up here, we can also find our ballpoint in. We're going to drag that across the line, pull that in. Once again, we can reorient this with the dial. See if we can get it. There we go. And then once again, we can drag this off the origin by using the dot. We'll say OK. And finally, we're going to need the barrel spring. We're going to bring that in. That's in the correct orientation, so we can just grab it by the dot, pull this out. We'll say OK. All right, so now we are ready to begin assembling this. So coming up here, we're going to go to Joint. Coming right here to the end, we can just pick on this origin right here. And then coming here to the base of the cylinder, we can pick on this origin right here. Now when that comes in, obviously if that's not going to be in the right orientation, okay, we can always spin it with the dial and do whatever, but in this case it needs to be the flip. Okay, once we hit the flip, we can say okay. We do have to make sure that this is rigid though. Yep, it is rigid, so we can say okay. All right, so now we can come in and start working on our ballpoint end. All right, so once again, using joint, okay, we're going to come in here, right here to the end of this, make sure we find that joint origin, and then come here to the end and find our joint origin here as well. That's going to bring that in. It's in the right orientation, but the issue that we have is that there's really no good connection to, okay, that plastic barrel. So I'm going to just grab the arrow and send this into the right direction, and we're going to just bring this in a distance of 0.1 for my offset. I'm going to go ahead and say okay. All right, and once again, that was rigid. So here's rigid. All right, just making sure we're good to go there. The last thing we need to do is to bring in our spring. Before we get to our spring, what I'm going to tell you to do is to come out here, go into your object visibility, turn on all work features because we need to be able to see the joint origins that have been placed here at the ends. You're never going to see them unless you turn that on, so make sure you do that. I'm now going to come here to joint, come here to my joint origin on the end, and now I'm going to come right here to the end and I'm going to find this joint origin right there at the center of that. And now we can see that that spring comes in. Now, if you're looking at this and you're like, hey, there's only one part of the spring, let's just go ahead and say okay to that. You'll see that the rest of it comes over with it. And once again, that would be a rigid, there'd be a rigid joint. All right, so if we come down here, go to display settings or object visibility and turn off all work features, we can see, okay, that is a completed ink cartridge subassembly. All right, so that's going to be the video tutorial that you're going to use for red, green, blue, and black, all right, for our carabiner pen project.